Welcome to Computer Retro Bus. Remember when games looked like this? And then this happened. Now, if you were around in the mid-90s, you no doubt remember the first time you saw a game running on a 3dfx card. It didn't just look better, it ran so much faster. It was an absolute game changer. I couldn't believe games could look like this on a PC. That upgrade felt like a completely different system. I still remember the very first 3dfx card that I had, which was the original Voodoo one. God, I love that card. But you know what? Today we're looking at something a little bit different. It is the 3dfx Banshee. This is one of 3dfx's early 2D and 3D cards. It didn't have just 3D only. We're going to look at why the 3dfx was such a big deal and why an entire generation is still obsessed with their hardware, even today. When 3dfx released the original Voodoo graphics in 1996, it was a little different from the graphics cards that we see today. It was essentially an add-on card. It only did 3D. You needed an existing 2D card in your system already. That's why the famous Voodoo setup had the pass-through cable. Your monitor connected to the Voodoo then connected to your 2D card. When a game was launched in Glide or 3D, the Voodoo took over the display. Now this was great at the start, but by 98, customers wanted one card that could do it all. It was a pain to go out and buy a token 2D card just to make your 3dfx card work, when other manufacturers like Nvidia and ATI were doing it all in one card, and also making headway into the OEM market. 3dfx realized this and their first attempt was the Voodoo Rush. While this was moving in the right direction, it wasn't exactly breaking any speed limits. It had notoriously bad drivers and very poor performance, with games running about 20 to 30% slower than the original Voodoo. 3dfx realized they needed a better solution. Enter the Banshee. Released in 1998, the Banshee was a pretty significant change in direction for the 3dfx. It combined 2D graphics with the core of a modified Voodoo 2 3D engine. It has a 100 MHz core with 16 MB of 100 MHz RAM running on a 128-bit bus. And the model I have here is AGP. It also comes in PCI. Okay, so here is my test setup. This is my entry-level Pentium II platform. When the Pentium II was first released, it was released with the Intel 440 LX chipset, not the BX, which would come later, which was awesome. The LX was limited to only 66 MHz FSB. So I'm going to put the Banshee in here, but I am going to change that processor. I'll put that Banshee in. So the Banshee was released in 1998. So I want to get a processor a bit more closer to at least the same year. So the 233 MHz was released in 97. I want to get a processor closer to the Banshee release, which is what I have here. This is a Pentium II 333 MHz. So a bit more closer in date. I want to get a bit more of a real world experience of if you built this system, what would you have built in 98 with this Banshee? This motherboard is really not fun to work with. It's a great motherboard, but look at where the power is, right back here. And also the fan connector as well. So yeah, and let's get you out of there. Come on, buddy. Oh. All right, there we go. There's our classic Pentium 233. And this is the great thing about the slot system, you know, no thermal paste, no nothing, just slot it in, plug it in, and you're good to go. Okay, so let's give that a boot. Make sure it's all working. You never know. Lovely, all good. There we go. Our CPU, 333 MHz with 128 meg RAM. Beautiful. I'll go with Windows 95. You can go with 95 or 98, really. I feel it was, you know, Windows 98 came out mid 98, so, and that wasn't even second edition, that was the first 98. So I'm just gonna go with 95 for now, why not? Dangerous Creatures, I love this theme. So here we are, drivers are all installed. Let's just have a quick look. Here we go, Voodoo Banshee. So yeah, we can see the performance settings for Glide, Direct 3D, all that. So yeah, drivers are all in. So let's start getting to some gaming. You know what, I'm gonna start it off with two games that when people at the time asked me, what does a 3D card do? These are the two games that I showed them. First one was Quake. So here is regular Quake, and this is running at a much higher resolution than, you know, most people would have ran when it came out, that's for sure. This is 640 by 480. Running in software mode, so you can see, you know, the usual pixelation that we're all used to. But with a 3dfx card, it all changed. Look at this. Wow. How smooth is it? Frame rate is, yeah, it is smooth as silk compared to the software mode, and it looks amazing. And that was the thing, you know, not only did it look awesome, it ran awesome. And this is where 3dfx really changed it. It was just, there was no 3D card that did this. Here we are on the iconic start screen. Again, you can see, as I say, general pixelation. Those textures look so nice. Look at them, filtered textures. And you know, when you come up too close to them, have that, they sort of blur and dither rather than just making these big blocky textures. And this is running at a higher resolution too, so I've actually bumped it up 800 by 600 rather than 640 by 480, which was what we're running in software mode. Yeah, look at the lighting as well. Yeah, look at those light beams. When they sort of, their lasers come through, you can sort of see a little bit of a haze around it. That's pretty cool. Just, you know, so much fun. Playing the game like this, wow. All right, I gotta stop. I don't want to, but I gotta stop. I'm gonna move on to my next game. The second game I showed them was this, Need for Speed 2 Special Edition. These are the two awesome games that I started up on my original Voodoo 1 and was just blown away by how awesome it looked and the massive difference. Okay, so we're gonna go with software mode first to show you the difference. So yeah, here we go. You know, look at this, lots of pixels and pixelation. This system is an absolute beast, so I reckon it's gonna run it really well. Oh yeah, it's running it excellent. This is amazing frame rate. So this is running it really smooth with just the CPU because, you know, got a really beast of a CPU and decent amount of RAM as well. All being rendered, I'm all over the place. All being rendered by the CPU here. So as far as I know, if you wanted hardware acceleration on this game, you had to have a 3dfx card. Textures are so much smoother and blended, very nice. This looks so cool, oh wow. It just feels like I'm playing at 60 FPS. It really, I don't know, I don't think I can get a frame counter on this game, but it feels really good. Oh yeah, look at the smoke trails as well. It didn't have that in the software mode. But you can see the textures are just so much more smoother and blend it much nicer. They're not as harsh. But yeah, look at that. Wow, huge difference. And the cars, look at the reflections in the cars. So when I turn the car, you can sort of see the reflections. This is the part that I really showed people, like, check this snow, and they were like, wow, look at this, it hits the screen. Really cool. And the textures in general, they're just really nice, blend nicely. Yeah. So there was other stages that had rain, so you'd be going through the rain and then the raindrops would hit the screen. And there was another one that you had bugs, so when you drove through a certain section, like the bugs would stick on the screen. I think it might have been the Australian map, I'm not sure, can't remember. Yeah, and nice, look at the fog as well. Yeah, the fog is awesome. And this is why we love 3dfx so much. Now, this was the huge leap in graphics. Now, these little effects just made a huge difference. It looks so good. Look at it. This is really taking me back. You know, I'd have 2 or 3 friends on my computer saying, guys, check this out. Start this map up, and they'd be like blown away. And the frame rate is just awesome, especially on this card. I've got 16 meg of RAM. My original Voodoo only had 4. Okay, so let's move on to Quake 2. Released 2 years after the original, 97. So still a year before this card, so you should handle this pretty good. But you know, look, this is software mode, and we're gonna change it to 3dfx Glide, and look at this difference. I mean, look at the lighting, the frame rate, everything. It's just so much better. It's amazing. 60 FPS, man. Oh man, this is so quick. So quick, this is awesome. So quick, I went past the first enemy, didn't even notice him. When things were made for Glide, it just ran awesome. Yeah, I love that lighting effect. And look at that beam as it goes down that hallway. How cool is that? Very cool. I love it. God. Glide, this is what we love about Glide. Okay, so we're moving to the year 1998 now. So let's try some games of its own era. And we're gonna start with an absolute classic, Forsaken. Okay, so here we go. Forsaken. Let's select our 3D accelerator, 3dfx. Very smooth. You know, this pretty much was a Descent clone, really. But it had a really cool multiplayer. And I remember, oh man, this thing got marketed like crazy back in its day. Came out on PlayStation and all the consoles as well. But yeah, really, again, really awesome use of lighting. Lots of great colored lighting in this game. With the gun effects, as well as the just general lighting. Also, oh, look at that. Just all the different awesome firing modes in this game. Once you picked up a few weapons, it just got really out of hand. Oh, look at this, it's just absolutely spraying the place, it's insane. Yeah, textures look great, runs absolutely smooth. I'm not sure why, but Fraps is not working. Oh, this is insanity. Look at this. Oh, this is some crazy firepower we've got going on here. If you love Descent, you're going to love this. Yeah, look at this. Look at these great effects. When you fight the green, that beautiful green light just going down that corridor. Looks great. This is just visually such a really eye candy of a game. This game just really reminds me of the computer markets where they'd help be selling hardware. And you know what? A lot of people that had monitors would have a demo of this running because, you know, all this nice, bright, colorful game. This is a game that was pretty popular for multiplayer as well. I never played it multiplayer myself. We were too busy playing other games during this era. Obviously with Unreal and Half-Life, it just came out at a very competitive time. 98 was an amazing year for games. There we go, Forsaken. That was really, that was great. It was great to go down memory lane and play this. I haven't played this one in a long time, but great game. Highly recommended. All right, we're gonna move to the big boys of 98, Unreal and Half-Life. Let's start with Unreal. This first time I played this game was, I think I still had my original Voodoo one with 4 meg. So yeah, I had to crank that resolution down, but look at this. Unreal with Glide looks great. Now normally Glide stuff is a little bit softer. I don't know, it has a bit of a softer, smokier look to it, but with Unreal it's a little bit sharper, I feel. Not sure why my frame counter is not appearing. Could be with Glide. My Fraps frame counter is just not appearing in any of these games for some reason, but anyway, it's looking pretty good. Look at that. Awesome. All right, let's get into a game. All right, so we're only 640 by 480, 16-bit color. That was a limitation with Voodoo cards, you know, they didn't do 32-bit. Good old Deck 16. It's run pretty good, pretty good. In the more closed areas, it's a bit smoother. Once we get into the open area, it does feel like it's struggling a little bit. Again, I haven't got an FPS counter, so I'm just going completely off feel here. But yeah, look at the way it's rendering the lighting down here. Really cool. The great thing about this game was the weapons and how you could use them so many different ways. I mean, just this rocket launcher. You could obviously fire one rocket, but if you held it down, it loaded up more. And then, you know, if you right-clicked, you held the grenades and you could load up multiple grenades away. So like 4 different ways you could use the same weapon just with mouse clicks. Pretty cool. It was such a creative weapon design in this game. Yeah, every weapon had an alternate firing mode. How cool was that? This is one of my favorite weapons, the way that it just bounces off walls. Really cool. Not the most predictable way to bounce it, but if you caught someone in a hallway, I tell you what, it was great. You just find a little corner and then just send those razors down. Especially in here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, this is where you trap somebody in here. Yeah, there we go. It's running it pretty good. And of course, we have Half-Life. So to get Half-Life running on 3dfx, we do have to change our VO to OpenGL. So go to VO modes, OpenGL, and we have to change it from default to 3dfx mini driver. 800 by 600, come on bud. Yeah, it's running really good. This is looking good, great game. And you know, it's got that glide look. It's very slight, but it's pretty, you know, it's awesome, really cool. Again, we're limited to 16-bit colors because that was a 3dfx limitation. 3dfx really did focus more on speed than color accuracy. Again, going back to NVIDIA's TNT, that was a big selling point for them, that they had 32-bit color. Did come with quite a steep performance penalty, but you know, it did look great. This was a game that really influenced a lot of sales for NVIDIA. This was a time when a lot of people did start shifting over to NVIDIA. They were just getting better performance with the TNT, TNT 2, and then of course the GeForce. Then the mods came out for Half-Life, CS, which was really competitive, Dave Defeat, which is also great. Anyway, there we go, Half-Life running on the Banshee pretty comfortably. All right, last one, we're gonna move to the year 1999. So 1 year after this system was released, and we're gonna go with Expendable. Let's see how we go. So here we go, select our driver, 3dfx Banshee, 640 by 480, 16-bit color. As we can see, again, only 16-bit color is selectable. Let's go. Okay, it's looking great. Look at the fog, it really does it well. The fog looks fantastic. The water effects are pretty cool as well. This is a fun little game. It's a little bit funny to control. You got to get used to it all over again, especially using the mouse and keyboard combo. very smooth, running absolutely fine, pretty cool. I love this laser sight, it's so cool. Actually, it's really pretty cool. Actually, the laser sight has a really nice little red lighting effect as you go. See when I sweep it over things, you can sort of see it. It changes the lighting over there. That's a really cool effect, actually. I just noticed that now. This really reminds me of Forsaken in a way, you know, similar lighting and coloring and just insane weapons that you can get. Now with the 3dfx stuff, you know, it was really, 3dfx was made for speed. It wasn't made to be the absolute prettiest, but it was made to try and give you the best frame rates, which is why they sort of sacrificed a little bit on colors and sharpness sometimes. But you know, the thing is that sort of gives Glide its characteristic rendering as well. You know, it's a little bit softer. That's what we love about it, but that does do great fog effects as well. Got some interesting effects now. Look at these big green blobs I'm shooting. Oh, this is a fun game. I tell you, this is one of those games where I just start playing to test it, and then before I know it, I just don't want to stop. There we go, time for a boss battle. Oh, look at these missiles. Oh, I love the weapons are just awesome in this game. They just get outrageous and ridiculous. Yeah, almost got him, Come on. Yeah. There we go. You know, the Banshee really takes me back to the time when we weren't looking at benchmarks, clock speeds, all that so much. We were looking at the sheer experience of playing these games completely differently. The way that they look and ran on Glide was an absolute game changer. And this is why 3dfx is so special in our hearts. These cards genuinely changed the way we saw what was possible, and it was so exciting. But you know, unfortunately for 3dfx, I really feel that this was the beginning of the end. 98, 99, this was when Nvidia and the TNT were really starting to catch up. And I remember around that era was when a lot of my friends were switching off the 3dfx and all buying TNT cards instead. And then some even moving to the ATI cards. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Had a lot of fun making it. It was great taking a trip down memory lane with a 3dfx card. If you'd like to support my channel, links are in the description. Thank you to all the guys that do. You guys are legends. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.